Welcome back to the channel. Hollywood has been carrying a heavy heart these past few years. One after another, we've had to say goodbye to some of the greatest black actors ever to grace the screen. Icons who shattered barriers, redefined storytelling, and gave us performances we'll never forget. Their sudden departures left fans stunned, grieving, and searching for words. From trailblazing legends who changed the course of cinema to rising stars whose brightest days were still ahead, these stories will hit hard. So buckle up, because today we're honoring 15 black actors whose tragic deaths shook the world. And trust me, by the end, you won't just remember them, you'll feel the loss all over again. James Earl Jones, the man whose voice was once called the voice of God, spent his final years living out a tragic chapter few could imagine. A towering figure in world cinema, he gave breath and soul to some of Hollywood's most unforgettable characters. With that thunderous, commanding voice, he became Darth Vader in Star Wars, 1977, and the wise, regal Mufasa in The Lion King, 1994. On stage, he shined in The Great White Hope, 1970, earning an Oscar nomination, and over the course of his career, he claimed the rare triple crown of acting, Tony, Emmy, and Grammy, cementing his place as one of the greatest performers of all time. But behind the brilliance, his life was shadowed by heartbreak. As a child, James was crippled by a severe stutter, so much so that he spent years locked in silence, unable to speak. On top of that, he faced the crushing weight of racial discrimination in an industry that offered little room for someone like him. He fought through it all, but those scars of silence and rejection never truly faded. Tragedy followed him into his later years. In 2016, he lost his beloved wife, Cecilia Hart, leaving him swallowed in loneliness. As the years passed, illness took its toll. Heart disease and chronic lung problems robbed him not only of his health but also of the one thing he cherished most, performing. His voice, once powerful enough to shake the world, was silenced. On September 9, 2024, James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93 in the quiet of his New York home. His death marked more than just the end of a life. It was the closing of a chapter in cinematic history. A man who had scaled the highest peaks of fame, yet in the end, faced solitude, illness, and loss. Still, through every battle and every triumph, he never stopped giving. He lived, he fought, and he left behind a legacy that will echo in the hearts of millions for generations to come. Louis Gossett Jr., a legendary black hero whose triumphs on screen often masked the tragedies behind the curtain. In 1983, he shattered barriers when he became the first black man to win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his unforgettable role in An Officer and a Gentleman. But his journey to that historic moment began years earlier, with his powerful performance in the groundbreaking miniseries Roots, 1977, which earned him an Emmy and cemented his place in television history. Over 6 decades, Gossett appeared in more than 200 roles, his name etched into films like Enemy Mine, 1985, Iron Eagle, 1986, and The Punisher, 1989. He wasn't just acting, he was embodying resilience, becoming a living symbol of courage and artistry. Audiences adored him, but off-screen, Gossett fought a different kind of battle. Born in Brooklyn, he faced racism from the start, and Hollywood was no kinder. In his early career, doors slammed shut not because of his talent, but because of the color of his skin. Each rejection forced him to fight harder, leaving scars that ran deeper than any applause could heal. Later in life, another challenge struck: prostate cancer. The disease weakened his body, drained his energy, and tested his spirit. Yet even as his health declined, Gossett never surrendered. He poured what strength he had into activism, fighting for justice and equality, refusing to let his voice be silenced. On March 29, 2024, Louis Gossett Jr. passed away at his home in Santa Monica, California. His death marked not just the end of a brilliant career, but the loss of a warrior who lived and breathed perseverance. He overcame unimaginable odds to become a beacon of talent and determination. And though the struggles of his life quietly dimmed some of his light, they also revealed the true measure of his greatness. A man who rose above pain, prejudice, and illness to leave behind a legacy that will never fade. Carl Weathers, forever Apollo Creed in the hearts of millions, was the kind of man who turned the screen into a battlefield of spirit, strength, and resilience. From 1976 to 1985, he brought Creed to life in the Rocky saga, not just as a character, but as a legend, leaving audiences across the world breathless with every punch and every word. And he didn't stop there. With Predator in 1987 and his unforgettable role as Greef Karga in The Mandalorian, 2019 to 2023, Weathers cemented his place among the immortals of Hollywood. But before the spotlight, before the red carpets and cameras, Carl Weathers was chasing an entirely different dream. On the football field, he wore the uniforms of the Oakland Raiders and the BC Lions, a rising star with glory in his grasp. Then, tragedy struck. Devastating injuries shattered his ambitions, leaving him not only with a broken body, but with the crushing weight of lost identity and financial ruin. For a time, he spiraled in the dark, fighting demons no crowd could ever see. Hollywood became his salvation. Acting wasn't just a career, it was a lifeline. Each role was a rebirth, each performance a fight back from the shadows. Yet even as he stood tall, embodying toughness and charisma, scars from his past never truly faded. Behind that iron image lived a man who had wrestled with pain, defeat, and the heavy silence of private struggle. On February 10, 2024, Carl Weathers passed away at the age of 76, claimed by atherosclerotic heart disease. His death shook fans worldwide. To them, he was Apollo. He was Dylan in Predator. He was Greef Karga, guiding the Mandalorian. But beyond the screen, he was proof of how resilience can carve light out of darkness. Carl Weathers' story is a reminder that even icons bleed, even legends carry shadows. He lived a life of triumph and tragedy, a fighter until the very end. And though the curtain has fallen, his legacy burns on, unbreakable, unforgettable, eternal. John Amos, the beloved TV father who carried hidden battles behind the spotlight. John Amos, a name forever etched into television history. For millions, he will always be James Evans Sr., the unshakable father from the groundbreaking series Good Times, 1974 to 1976. With his stern presence and moral authority, Amos redefined what a black father could look like on American screens, giving audiences something they had rarely seen before: strength, dignity, and uncompromising love. But Amos was more than just a sitcom dad. In 1977, he took on a role that shook the world: the adult Kunta Kinte in Roots. His searing performance forced America to confront the horrors of slavery, leaving a permanent mark on television history. From there, he cemented his place in Hollywood with roles in Coming to America, 1988, and Die Hard 2, 1990, proving his range and longevity on the big screen. Yet, behind that glittering success was a man fighting battles few ever saw. In 1976, his career took a devastating blow when he was abruptly written off Good Times. The reason? A bitter clash with producers. Amos wanted James Evans to remain a tough but principled father figure, a man who educated through discipline and truth. The producers, however, pushed for a softer, funnier version. The fallout was swift and Amos was cut. The decision left him deeply wounded and stalled what should have been a soaring career. Away from Hollywood's lights, life brought even more challenges. Family struggles, health battles, and the relentless pressures of fame weighed heavily on him. In his later years, those pressures left his health in decline. On August 21, 2024, John Amos passed away at 84 from congestive heart failure. His death was not just the loss of a beloved actor. It was a stark reminder of the toll stress, conflict, and relentless expectation can take on even the strongest of men. To the world, he was an icon. But beneath the fame, he was human, fighting, hurting, and carrying burdens most never saw. John Amos left behind more than roles. He left behind a legacy, one of truth, courage, and representation. His life reminds us that even legends are not without scars, and sometimes, the hardest battles are fought far away from the spotlight. Bill Cobbs, the immortal bodyguard and the tragedy of a gentle legend. Bill Cobbs wasn't just another actor, he was a quiet force, a golden thread woven into the fabric of American cinema. Over 4 decades, he appeared in more than 200 films and shows, becoming one of Hollywood's most trusted and beloved character actors. Audiences remember him as Reginald, the dignified guard in Night at the Museum, 2006, and as Bill Devaney, Whitney Houston's loyal manager in The Bodyguard, 1992. With a calm presence and a soulful delivery, Cobbs had a way of commanding the screen without raising his voice. Whether in dramas, comedies, or fantasy adventures like Demolition Man, 1993, and Oz the Great and Powerful, 2013, his performances carried an honesty that stuck with you long after the credits rolled. But behind that calm legend was a man who fought for every inch of his career. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, Cobbs didn't start acting until age 36, an age when most are already set in their ways. Before that, he had served in the U.S. Air Force, worked countless odd jobs, and lived a life far removed from Hollywood lights. As a black man entering an industry built on barriers and bias, he faced rejection, skepticism, and the sting of subtle racism. Directors overlooked him, casting calls dismissed him, and opportunities slipped away. Yet he refused to let go of his dream. With resilience and quiet determination, he carved out a path role by role, proving that true talent has no expiration date. His journey was never about fame, it was about endurance. And that endurance made him unforgettable. In July 2024, at the age of 90, Bill Cobbs passed away, his body weakened by time. But what he left behind was more than a filmography, it was a legacy of patience, perseverance, and quiet greatness. Bill Cobbs will forever be remembered as more than the calm voice in the background. He was the embodiment of strength through stillness, a legend whose spirit will outlast the roll of the end credits. Dexter Scott King lived in the shadow of greatness and the weight of unbearable loss. The youngest son of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dexter became a torchbearer for a legacy that changed the world. As president of the King Center from 1989 onward, he spearheaded projects that championed social justice, civil rights, and nonviolent education. He also protected his father's intellectual property, ensuring Dr. King's message remained true to its core. In 1999, Dexter even lent his voice to portray his father in the animated film Our Friend, Martin, keeping the dream alive for a new generation. But behind the public mission was a man scarred by tragedy. In 1968, at just 7 years old, Dexter's world shattered when his father was assassinated. 6 years later, his grandmother, Alberta Williams King, was murdered as well. These back-to-back traumas carved deep wounds that never fully healed, leaving Dexter to carry both grief and responsibility long before his time. As he grew older, the burden only intensified. While trying to honor his father's legacy, he faced harsh criticism. Some accused the King family of commercializing Dr. King's image, claiming the values of the civil rights movement were being overshadowed. Trapped between loyalty to his family and the weight of public expectation, Dexter lived much of his life in quiet struggle. His greatest trial came later, when he battled prostate cancer, a fight that was as lonely as it was relentless. On January 22, 2024, at the age of 62, Dexter Scott King passed away. The years of tragedy, stress, and illness had taken their toll. His death was more than a personal loss to the King family. It reverberated across the world, striking at the heart of the human rights community. Dexter King's story is both inspiring and heartbreaking, a man who carried his father's dream with dignity, yet was haunted by wounds that never closed. A life of service, shadowed by sorrow. Henry Fambrough wasn't just a singer, he was the heartbeat of soul itself. As one of the founding voices of the legendary R&B group The Spinners, he helped craft a soundtrack that carried generations through love, heartbreak, and joy. From Could It Be I'm Falling in Love to I'll Be Around and Rubber Band Man, his voice, whether leading or harmonizing, was the steady flame that kept their sound alive for more than 6 decades. Born in Detroit, the very cradle of soul, Henry grew up in a world where music was both salvation and struggle. Behind the smooth melodies and sharp suits, he endured the hard truths of an industry that often overlooked and underpaid the very artists who gave it life. But through every disappointment, every uphill battle, Henry remained the anchor of the Spinners, the quiet strength that kept them together and carried their music to the world. Age, however, brought battles even Henry couldn't outsing. In his later years, his health declined, the toll of a lifetime spent pouring every ounce of himself into performance. Yet he rarely spoke of the pain. He kept his silence, letting the music say what words never could. On February 7, 2024, at 85 years old, Henry Fambrough's voice fell silent. His passing closed a glorious chapter in the spinner's history, leaving fans across the world mourning not just a legend, but a man who gave his life to the music he loved. His departure was a reminder of the quiet sacrifices so many artists make, living, breathing, and breaking for their art, often without recognition. A musical heart stopped beating that day. But Henry's songs, his spirit, and his legacy will echo forever, spinning on in the hearts of all who ever felt the soul he gave so freely. Nikki Giovanni, the rebel poet whose fire never dimmed, and whose sudden death left a shockwave through American letters. To call her a poet is too small. Giovanni was resistance personified, a fearless voice that refused to bow to injustice. From the turbulent days of the 1960s and 70s, she picked up her pen like a weapon, igniting the Black arts movement and giving power to the powerless. Her debut collection, Black Feeling, Black Talk, 1968, was not just poetry, it was a manifesto, a rallying cry, a cultural earthquake. Decorated with honors like the Langston Hughes Medal and the NAACP Image Award, she was celebrated as a legend. Yet behind the applause was a life steeped in struggle. Born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and raised in Cincinnati, she came of age in a world sharpened by racial tension. At Fisk University, her rebellious spirit burned bright, daring to confront institutions that tried to silence her. Her words, sometimes sharp enough to wound, reshaped minds and rattled those who opposed her. With each stanza, she carried the crushing weight of expectation, the burden of being not just a writer, but a symbol. That pressure left scars no award could erase. Beneath the strength lived a vulnerable soul, forced to keep fighting even as illness chipped away at her later years. So when the news broke on December 9, 2024, that Nikki Giovanni had passed, the world gasped. Fans were stunned, but those who knew the cost of her fight weren't surprised. A lifetime of battles, mental, physical, and cultural, had taken their toll. Her death was more than the loss of a poet, it was the fall of a warrior. Yet Giovanni's legacy endures. Her words still thunder, still challenge, still spark resistance. She showed us that art can be a weapon, that truth can unsettle, and that one woman's voice can shake the foundations of injustice. Even in death, Nikki Giovanni refuses to be silenced. Connie Chiume, the silent farewell of a South African legend. Connie Chiume wasn't just an actress, she was the heartbeat of South African cinema. To the world, she became a global icon through her unforgettable role as the mining tribe elder in Marvel's Black Panther, 2018. But long before Hollywood came calling, Connie had already carved her name into the history of African film and television. For more than 5 decades, she wasn't just performing, she was breaking barriers, inspiring generations, and carrying African storytelling onto the world stage. Born in Welcome, South Africa, Connie stepped into the entertainment industry in the 1970s, when racial discrimination and inequality still cast long shadows. As a Black woman, she faced obstacles that would have crushed lesser spirits. Yet Connie endured, defying stereotypes, pushing through prejudice, and proving her talent was undeniable. Her journey to the top was never easy, but every role she played became a victory not just for her, but for an entire generation of African artists. In the final chapter of her life, Connie faced another battle, serious health struggles she chose to keep private. Even as her body weakened, she never let her spirit dim. She continued to work, continued to smile, continued to inspire, until she could no longer. In August 2024, at just 72 years old, her sudden passing sent shockwaves through South Africa and across the globe. Fans and fellow artists mourned not only the loss of a star, but of a pioneer whose light burned bright despite the weight she carried. Connie Chiume's story is a reminder of the price of resilience, of the toll of unshakable dedication. She lived a life worthy of admiration, and though her voice has fallen silent, her legacy will echo forever. In the films she graced, the barriers she shattered, and the generations she continues to inspire. Hinton Battle wasn't just a Broadway star, he was a force of nature who left his mark long before the curtain fell. A 3-time Tony Award winner, Battle redefined what it meant to be a true triple threat. From his unforgettable turn as the Scarecrow in The Wiz to the elegance he brought to sophisticated ladies, he danced, sang, and acted with a brilliance that burned into Broadway's history. His talents didn't stop at the stage. He lit up screens in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dreamgirls, and beyond, proving his artistry was boundless. But behind the spotlight, Battle carried burdens no one else could see. The grueling schedules, the relentless demand to stay flawless, and the silent pressures of an industry that celebrates success but often ignores the cost, it all weighed heavily on him. He gave his entire soul to the craft, but the toll was immense. On January 30, 2024, the theater world was shaken when Hinton Battle passed away at just 67. The cause was never made public, though whispers of long-term health struggles lingered. His death was not just the loss of a legend, but the end of a story that felt unfinished. A star who still had so much more brilliance to give. His passing is a sobering reminder that behind the glitter of fame often lies unseen struggle. For all the joy he gave to audiences, Battle bore the quiet cost of greatness. Today, his legacy isn't only in the roles he played but in the powerful reminder that even legends are human, carrying battles the world may never know. Erica Ashe. A bright light in comedy, gone far too soon at just 46. More than a comedic actress, she was a singer, a performer, and a multi-talented force who carved her place in entertainment. Audiences first fell in love with her quick wit and fearless humor on Mad TV and Real Husbands of Hollywood. She lit up the screen in Scary Movie 5 and delivered heart in Survivor's Remorse. Erica wasn't just working, she was thriving, the kind of success story built on relentless drive and undeniable talent. But behind the laughter she gave the world, a quiet storm was brewing. At the height of her career, cancer crept in, striking fast and mercilessly. For years she fought in silence, her strength hidden behind the same smile that once lit up stages and screens. On July 28, 2024, that battle came to an end. Erica Ashe passed away, leaving behind devastated fans and a grieving industry. Her death was more than a loss. It was a cruel theft. Just as her star was rising higher, cancer cut her journey short. Yet even in her final chapter, Erica left us with more than performances. She became a symbol of resilience, of private battles fought with courage. A woman who gave joy to millions, even as she quietly carried her own pain. David Harris. The actor from The Warriors who fought his last battle off-screen. Best remembered as Cochise in the cult classic The Warriors, 1979, Harris carried a magnetic presence that followed him through decades of television and film. From NYPD Blue to Law and Order and ER, his versatility left an indelible mark on audiences who admired his craft. For over 30 years, he built a quiet but powerful legacy, one defined not by scandal, but by pure talent and heart. Yet behind that legacy was a private struggle few ever knew about. Harris was dealt the cruelest blow, a fight with cancer. True to his character, he faced it silently, shielding his fans from the sight of his frailty. But on October 25, 2024, at the age of 75, David Harris's battle came to an end. His death was not just the loss of a man, it was the loss of a generation's storyteller. Harris lived without the noise of Hollywood controversy, and that makes his departure even more heartbreaking. In the end, he left behind not only a grieving family, but countless film lovers carrying the weight of regret that one more role, one more performance, will never come. Renauld White was more than a model. He was a trailblazer who changed the face of American fashion. In 1979, he shattered barriers by becoming the first black male model to grace the cover of GQ magazine, a moment that didn't just make history, it redefined it. That cover opened doors for diversity in an industry long dominated by one image, inspiring generations of models to come. Throughout his career, White walked for the biggest names, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and other fashion powerhouses, leaving a mark that still lingers on the runways today. But behind the polished photo shoots and glamorous campaigns, His journey was far from easy. As the pioneering black male model in a world steeped in discrimination, he faced a silent war, one waged with bias, exclusion, and the constant pressure to prove he belonged. The scars from those battles were often hidden, known only to him, yet they shaped the man behind the legend. Still, Renauld never let bitterness consume him. He carried himself with grace, optimism, and an unwavering spirit that earned him admiration far beyond the runway. On June 26, 2024, at the age of 80, after a long struggle with age-related health complications, his extraordinary life came to a close. His passing left not just the fashion industry, but all who admired his courage and quiet resilience, mourning a man who fought hard, broke through barriers, and paved the way for others, all while carrying struggles few ever saw. Chance Perdomo was a rising star whose light was stolen far too soon, a career snatched away at the very height of its promise. Born in the UK, he captured global attention as Ambrose Spellman in Netflix's chilling adventures of Sabrina, a role that revealed his boundless creativity and raw talent. From there, his star only burned brighter, leaving an unforgettable mark in Gen V, where he stepped into the larger-than-life universe of The Boys. Hollywood wasn't just watching him rise, it was preparing to crown him one of its future greats. But fate had a cruel twist in store. On January 30, 2024, at just 27 years old, Chance's life was tragically cut short in a motorcycle accident. A sudden, devastating loss that left fans, friends, and family in shock. He was taken not in the twilight of a long career, but in the brilliance of its dawn, when every door was opening, every opportunity within reach. His death felt like a cold slap, a reminder of how fragile even the brightest dreams can be. The greatest tragedy wasn't just that Chance Perdomo died so young, it was that he left before he could fully carve his legacy. He had only just begun to show the world his power, his artistry, his voice. And now, the promise of what he could have been lingers as both inspiration and heartbreak. O.J. Simpson. His name alone sparks memories of glory, scandal, and tragedy. Once celebrated as one of the greatest athletes to ever step on the football field, he was crowned the NFL's most valuable player in 1973, a record-breaking star who seemed unstoppable. After retiring, he charmed audiences on the big screen, stealing laughs in comedies like The Naked Gun. To the world, he looked untouchable, a hero who had it all. But behind the fame, a storm was brewing. In 1994, the brutal murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman changed everything. The televised trial that followed became one of the most watched events in American history. Though acquitted, O.J. could never outrun the shadow of guilt in the public eye. The man once adored by millions became a symbol of controversy, his life collapsing into a spiral of family turmoil, broken relationships, and deep personal torment. Peace never found him. Haunted by his demons, he later turned to crime, and in 2008 was sentenced to 33 years in prison for armed robbery, serving 9 before his release in 2017. But freedom did not bring redemption. Illness stalked him in his final years, and on April 10, 2024, O.J. Simpson's tumultuous journey came to an end when prostate cancer claimed his life. His death joined a heartbreaking wave of loss. In recent years, we've said goodbye to 15 legendary black stars whose brilliance lit up the stage and screen, only for their lives to be cut short by tragedy. Each passing left behind shock, sorrow, and an empty space that can never be filled. Yet even in death, their legacies endure, timeless reminders of both their triumphs and their struggles. What do you think about the legends we've lost? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the stories of Hollywood's brightest and most tragic stars.